my name is Frank, I use they them pronouns, and this is my SVA Computer Arts and More Accepted portfolio. I'm making this just because I want to see how far I've come after I graduate, because I'm just about to start school, and also because I want to help some folks out. I'm going to go ahead and just give you the no bells and whistles tour, and then afterwards I'm going to talk about things a little bit. So let's just jump right into it. Okay, so I am putting this together because, one, I want people to be able to see sort of like what the expected quality of work is at these two schools. I did actually, I accepted for SVA Computer Arts, so I will be attending there in the fall. I'm very, very excited. That's coming up super soon. But I figure if you are a high school senior, or maybe even younger, but you're just sort of thinking about the type of work you want to be making to get into either one of these institutions, I'd love to help you out. I did not end up getting in my first try. I actually applied multiple times to SVA, but I did eventually get in as a transfer student. So let's go ahead and run through that portfolio now. So the first thing that I did here, I included a couple sketchbook compilations. You can see I did both of them here. Running through, all of these are from direct observation. Everything that's included in these, so I have some bones, some more skulls, just sort of like diagramming how it looks from different angles, some books, very basic stuff. I drew my living room at my house because I wanted to focus on like angles and showing my perception of space and that sort of thing. You can pause at any point if you want to see the sorts of things that I wrote on the side. And then another compilation did some hands, some portraits. That one's a self-portrait that I did in a mirror, drawings of my friends, that sort of thing. Some more direct observation work, and I wanted to include some bigger things. So I did mention earlier that I was a transfer student. After I was rejected the first time, I decided that I wanted to go to another institution to improve my work and just to sort of like get a feel for college, because I knew that I wanted to go to SVA. Like I knew that I always wanted to do that. Applying to more was sort of a backup plan, just because I also just wanted to see if I could get into more, because I was like, well, I know that SVA is really hard to get into. Not saying that more isn't hard to get into, but I was like, well, I want to see if like, is this just like an SVA thing or like do other schools actually enjoy my work? Turns out other schools do. I got accepted to more with no complications. SVA was a different story, but I did get in. But yes, so I included some other work. This was something that I did for class. This was my drawing one final, very boring stuff, but I did a drawing in a mirror, or we were supposed to do a self-portrait in a mirror, and I think they didn't really intend for me to draw the rest of the stuff around it, but I thought that, this was during COVID, so I was spending upwards of 10 hours a day at my desk, so I thought it would be an interesting thing to show the self-portrait, not just me, but like my environment and sort of like how I live and exist. So like taking a very basic concept and then spicing it up, that is always something you can do. Even just a little stuff. I would say that's absolutely big thing, big thing. You want to do that kind of thing. I did the same sort of thing here. It was for my drawing one class. I was supposed to draw some sticks and leaves and that sort of thing, but I spiced it up, made it in the shape of a rooster, had some fun with it, This was just a charcoal drawing that I did about 90 minutes. It was also fairly big. A lot of the stuff you'll do in college and like your basic drawing classes, you're gonna work really big. So 18 by 24 is standard. Double that, I can't think, 36 by 48 is canvas size. I did like one or two pieces that were that big, but I didn't put any of them in my portfolio. But I thought this showed a variety of textures, some glass, some duller objects, some reflective things. Have a mirror here. I kind of wish I had thrown some fabric in here because I think that would show some more variety, but that's all in the past. Some more stuff from direct observation. Here's some fabric here. I wanted to make sure I showed some drapery, and then a bust, a study that I did of that. Put them in the same thing. I thought this sort of showed off my composition skills. It's a little heavy on this side, but all in all, I don't think it's terrible. This was something that I did not learn in school. So I went to one of the SVA like portfolio review days. Absolutely, if you can go to one, go to one. It was the biggest help for me. I changed. So I had like basically not even 2 weeks. Like I went to one and the due date was 2 weeks later to submit my portfolio. So I was just busted ass. Like I changed so much, but this was one of those things. So because it was COVID, I did not have access to live models. Otherwise, I probably would have done this in school. So instead, I went to lineofaction.com, where everything is in the public domain. They have great pictures of models. You can select whether or not you want them to be clothed, nude, male or female, if you want them to be like of a certain age or whatever for studies. But I just set it up for any body type nude because I wanted to focus on the human form. And then I just set it up to do 10-second drawings, 30-second drawings, 60-second, 5-minute, and 10-minute. So these were all of my drawings that I did for that, and I put them all together. I actually think I learned a whole lot. I did more of these later. I'd absolutely recommend, like, even if you're not doing this for a portfolio, like if you're just doing this to get better at drawing, you know, human figures and stuff, like go do this. It's so important. Gesture drawing is so important. I'm so excited to do more of it. But you know, I went ahead. I included this in my in my portfolio. Did it as a little compilation. This was my first piece that is not for direct observation, you might notice. So this was also a piece for school. For my digital imaging class, I had to do like, I think it was like 12 pieces or so that were a theme that went together. This was my favorite of the bunch, but the whole thing revolved around like exploring sexuality and gender and my relationship to those and feeling demonized from a young age. But, you know, this was definitely my favorite piece. I think that it has some really strong design because I think that design is just as important to art as like fine art skills and that sort of thing. So I wanted to include this. So it's got some photography, shows my, you know, my Photoshop skills and everything. And all in all, I am actually very happy with this piece. I like it a whole lot. I think this is one of my stronger pieces. But yeah, so I went ahead and included that in there. This is just another graphite piece. This is just a fun little thing talking about like getting my Doc Martens and breaking them as like a rite of passage because my mom is a punk rocker. I just thought it was a fun little neat piece. It's kind of cool. I think that I'm all right with graphite, so it shows off, you know, shows off some of that skill. I think the bottom of this boot looks really nice, but the rest of it kind of blends in a little bit. But I don't know. I don't hate it. It's got some gouache in it, but just a fun little piece. This is another self-portrait that I did, but it's a conceptual self-portrait. So rather than showing my face, we have bison skull, some sunflowers, a dress that was my mom's. That survived a house fire. I just, you know, interesting things like this. You don't need to, you know, follow the directions for an assignment exactly. Like, push the boundaries a little bit, you know? You know, it doesn't need to be just a self-portrait of your face. I did a self-portrait. It's not in this portfolio, but for my 2D class last year where he wanted the self-portrait so bad, but I ended up showing just, like, a little bit of the bottom of my face and then my hands because, like, I consider my hands a big part of, like, who I am and how I interact with the world. So I made that like part of my, you know, self-portrait. But you know, so push the boundaries a little bit, you know? I like bones a lot, so I just include this little study of human ribs and ink. There's not a whole lot to say about it. It's just, you know, shows how good I am at stippling. This is actually a really small piece. It's only 2x3. It's very small. I recommend trying out working small and then trying out working really big. You'll learn a lot. This is, I think from here on, most things are digital. So this was my favorite piece that I did. I think, well, this is my favorite personal piece that I think I did in the last year, so I really like it. It sort of happened as a mistake, but I tried to show these two characters like in an environment. So this is Lasso Joe. You can see this guy's Lasso. He's a little cowboy cat, and then his horse Easy Money. But you know, it shows some environmental stuff. Like they're not just on the page. That's a big thing. Like don't just take your characters and have them floating in nothing. Like show personality, show them doing something that they would normally do. You know, it adds a whole lot, adds a lot of life. But yeah, no, so I love these characters. I thought this was kicking off the digital section pretty well. Another character showing him sort of doing his thing. He's rocking on his guitar because he has a guitar in his arm. Anyway, thought I showed this. I didn't have a reference for this one at the time. I thought it was really nice. If I were to, you know, put together a portfolio now, I probably wouldn't include this piece, but it's all right. It's okay. All right, so from here, I tried to do a thing. I don't know whether or not it worked, because this is where we talk about why this portfolio of mine is interesting. So you see, you know how I remember it, or you remember that I mentioned I was accepted to the SVA Computer Arts program. Well, you see, I actually applied for the SVA animation program, and I was rejected. I think this actually happened to a bunch of people in the computer arts program. So a bunch of people applied for animation. It's a very, very competitive program to get into. So, you know, if you get in, you are just absolutely top notch. But I got my rejection letter, and they sent a thing. It was like, hey, would you want to apply for a different program? Because you can only apply for one program at a time, usually. So I was like, well, I would love to. It was like, I was mad that I couldn't apply for more than one program to begin with. So I'd love to apply for computer arts because it was my second choice, and I think it's really cool and, you know, also involves stuff I'm really interested in. So I did that. They put me through. I was accepted very quickly, and then even received scholarship. So all I had to do was, you know, ask. It never hurts to ask. That is, you know, my biggest tip. Do not be afraid to ask for a second chance. But anyway, so I tried to do a thing here where I showed this character and then I showed them through different stages. So I started here at I got this note during my portfolio review. It's like, this character looks a lot like Nick Valentine. Valentine? I don't know how you say it. I've never played Fallout, but they're like, oh, robot cowboy looks like this character. And I'm like, oh, I think they have different vibes, but I don't know. So I guess I'll try and change it. But I went ahead and included this, and I explained on the side what happened. So down here, I did a reference sheet. It's a little boring, but I thought I'd include one of Bates in like their base body, their Netscape body, and then I changed up the everyday wear. Originally it was the trench coat and everything, but I made it way more cowboy. I fell in love with these like cyber cowboy boots down here, so I guess I'll have to draw those again. Oh, let me exit out of here. And then I went ahead, I drew Bates again in this environment, because actually I like an environment painting. I think it's cool. Didn't have a reference for this one, but I just sort of went for it. Again, I kind of fucked up the shadows. Don't look at it too hard. You'll notice that it's off. But all in all, not bad if you're just sort of looking at it fast. Shows them doing what they normally do. They're a very pathetic cowboy robot. They're not nearly as, I think, cool as Mr. Nicky Man, who I don't know anything about. And then this one, I'm not going to show the whole video. It's on my YouTube if you want to go watch it. But these were storyboards. It's kind of an animatic for that same character, Bates, doing stuff that they do. If you want to go watch it, I'll put a link to it here somewhere, also at the end, wherever. But yes, so I didn't have any sort of animation software, so the process for this was kind of terrible, but I went ahead and I included it. But yeah, something more sequential. I'm just going to run through some other do's and don'ts, just sort of put them all together here at the end. So I want you to write a lot of stuff. So in my rejected portfolio, I really didn't write much of anything. I would just, on the side, I would just put like basically what the materials were and nothing else. But you know, like, talk about what materials you used, explain your process, talk about like what this piece is about. You know, like, this is your time to shine. Because you only get one little statement of intent, at least with SVA, so like, this is your place to also shine and show some personality. Like, I don't know if they actually read them, but I don't think it hurts. Just go throw some text in there, you know? You never know. My other do is to include a lot of observation work. So, I mean, like, let's look through here. Like, you gotta include direct observation. It's so important. Let's count how many things. So I have 17 slides total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of those are from direct observation, and then 1 is the gesture drawing that I would have done from direct observation if I could, but I had to use online. So 6 of my 17 are all direct observation pieces. So take from that what you will. I would also say include a variety of work. So you can see I have, you know, a lot of things happening here. I have some photography, some digital work, some traditional stuff. That being said, I would not include too much. I'm not going to show it because I'm kind of embarrassed by it. But in my rejected portfolio, I was applying for animation, but then I included like a short film, like shot with a camera that I did. It was a little gory and just a little artsy and much, and it was But I included that in there, and I remember I managed to do like a portfolio review after I'd already submitted that portfolio, which was not very helpful, but they were also confused by that. So I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. So, include a variety, but also consider what your major is. So, like, I was going for animation, so I did an animatic. That makes a lot more sense than including a short film. You dig? You pick up what I'm laying down? Anyway, my other tip, if you're drawing characters, try and put them in an environment. It's very helpful. Please do it. It's so much better than, this is, I guess, the worst example, but stuff like this, like, I could have drawn him on a stage or something. That would have been cool. Like, it's cool that I'm showing him doing stuff and he's not just standing there, but, like, this could be better. Like, put a cool stage behind him. So maybe more intense lighting. That kind of stuff. And then my don'ts. You better not do this. I do not want you to give up. Don't give up. Because, like, I was rejected the first time, and I didn't let that stop me. I ended up going to a different institution, and I improved. And I was actually able to transfer. They took about half my credits. That's pretty swanky. So I ended up getting out of some basic drawing classes and stuff, some basic English and history classes and everything. It doesn't hurt. If it doesn't work out the first time, pick yourself up, try again. It's not the end of the world. I know it feels like it's the end of the world. Trust me, I got you. But it's not. You're gonna be fine. It's all gonna be okay. And then my second don't, you better not do it. Do not be afraid to ask for a second chance. Seriously, like, sometimes people say no, and if you really think that you deserve a second opinion, like I went through, I was like, okay, not for animation, but what about computer arts? Send that email. It never hurts to ask. Same thing for financial aid. I didn't receive quite enough financial aid, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to make this work. I just emailed the financial aid office. I was like, hey, would you consider giving me a little bit more money so that way I can go to school here? And they said, yeah. So it doesn't hurt to ask. You never know. The worst thing that they can do is say no. But if you don't ask, you'll never know. Things could have been better. You don't know. But, so that's my portfolio. Those are my tips. I wish you all the best of luck with your portfolios and your work. Leave me a comment if you are also going to SVA, or if you're planning to go to SVA, or if you have any questions. I love to answer them for you. And yeah, I will probably try to post more videos and stuff during the school year, just because, like, I'm so excited to go to SVA, and I feel like there's not a whole lot of people who post about it. But yeah, so hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye!